Voilà. J'enregistre en même temps, hein, pour qu'on ait quand même... Non, mais on va garder quelque chose. Non, mais pour l'instant, on va garder quand même, sinon on ne documente pas. Mais voilà. Tu as peur de quoi? Attends. Bof. Tu as peur de quoi?
Tout ça, c'est de ta faute.
Tant mieux. C'est une bonne faute.
L'autre qui écrit, c'est quoi votre truc?
Ah oui, hein, machin.
Je voulais lui répondre, laisse-nous faire notre truc.
Oui, mais ça, c'était trop méchant.
Il est toujours méchant.
Après, ça, c'était gratuit, inutile.
En plus, c'est toujours comme ça parce qu'il est charmant.
Oui, mais il y a un âge où tu ne peux plus dire, tu sais. Hein? Il y a un âge où tu ne peux plus dire, tu vois. Tu as fait ton temps, les gens, tu vois, ils arrivent, ils font les trucs. Tu vois, ça. Ok,
Schade, il faut pas regarder. Das braucht jetzt nicht angucken. You don't have to watch this. It's just on my computer because I don't have it. So we watch later the film. Watch me. We start. Let's start. And come a little bit forward, please. Better. So good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jean-Pierre, for pushing me to do this. It's a thing I have in my head since a long time, and after that I will structure it as a presentation. Now it's a presentation, but work in progress. So I'm Dardelmau, I'm producer and let's say bridge maker sometimes, and I co-produced films from African directors. I'm doing also a film festival, Französische Filmtage Tübingen, where I do also an African section in between all, and I also bring German filmmakers with German documentaries to African film festivals, and in the whole process, in production as a producer and also in bringing films from German filmmakers who sometimes work in Africa, like I will give you some examples then. I realized that all this, the gap in who is speaking, and also I think we can see it in the edit or in the camera work, and also it starts with the relation in production, why we go there. I don't know, maybe you can tell me, you who is an editor here, a German editor, and interested because you have films which are maybe have a relation to Africa.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
one project maybe coming up.
Yeah.
It's still not confirmed. My name is Katharina.
Sorry, yeah.
Everyone.
Just to, yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. So that's a specific project, but in generally I was very attracted and thankful to read the invitation for the workshop today, because I thought like that's in my life and work as an editor, like I'm all the time concerned with these questions. Because this like the power of storytelling is so immense, or like what everything that happens in the edit, and it's a conversation that I have anyway all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm always happy to sharpen it, that's why I'm here. So thanks for the invitation.
So I'm more a producer, I'm not an editor at all. So I go more from the, like Jean-Pierre had the idea to call it editing the relationship, and this I think we have to be more open in between when we are going to other cultures, because, for example, the African directors know a lot about us, and sometimes we know much less about the situation in the country where we are shooting or where we go, and also and also when it comes to start a film, often the production is not aware why they are going there, how they collaborate. Is there so I give some examples. For example, me, I work sometimes as a production manager, and the people call me as a so-called specialist for Africa. And then they send the script, and sometimes I say, no, I cannot work on this film because people trust me and I cannot be that advisor. And sometimes people only say, we need a stringer in the country, and I say, no, you need a production manager. And often you have then a camera person going there who is, for example, German. They go with the best intention, but I think you see it in the images. They are shooting they are shooting images which are sometimes a little bit random, I think, which maybe a person from the continent will not really put it in. So and in my work to bring these films from German documentary filmmakers to festivals in the continent is also that the directors or the people coming have a feedback from a public there, and also to understand more the environment. And so I will give you one example of a film which is a completely honest production. It's a German production, The Empty Grave. I don't know if somebody of you have seen the film. It was in Berlinale 2 years ago. It's a film about the German colonial history. All this story about bringing the skulls back to Tanzania. And it was an idea from a German director. And then they realized they need a co-director in Tanzania, and they had also a real co-producer there. And but the film was completely financed in Germany. And as far as I know, the Tanzanian producer said it was a fair collaboration, but the whole money came from Germany. And I think it's an honest film. I like the film, but when I have seen this movie, I had this idea that maybe we can work on, reflect on this. So I will start very simply, as you are, to show you the beginning of this film. It's half shot in Berlin and half shot, and then there. And maybe we can look about 10 minutes. Is it okay for you? It's too long.
Okay.
So you go in the film, and then maybe you can observe how the cameraman is shooting in Berlin, and how he's shooting and how it is edited when it comes to Tanzania. Yeah. So. Oh God. And I don't say this as a critique on the film directly. Yeah, it's honest. So it's just okay. Is it this? Yes.
Babu uko wapi? Babu!
Yeo sendo baba bano mfuta tena matemani chikwakwa mauya wadoela ng'ombe na ngozi waona mdomo kati panyani baba yeti sendo teo tabana wativyala wewo tafika pamene palitindala wewo kukukulumira gomu tafika teo ngati tabuda upepa aisendo kukukulumira wewo wapeleke sauti yeku kuulaya huko hapa wewo wabajalala wala wa mundu tu lakini kibwanga chiyupo umbwani kwa wamenya vimlungwe ngati tabuda upepe sena baba mbana chikwapa baba oya wazuri ng'ombe na mbuzi waona mlungo ngati ngonyani baba yeti. Haya, Fabienne.
So Agnes Lisa had the idea, and they found this Tanzanian director who is also a lady, Titi.
Atukia mama mkubwa, mama mdogo, mama wakati, mpaka mwingine. Uganda kazi sehemu moja. Tunakula, tunagombania, hujashiba, wanakuita gari mwingine. Na mimi nakumbuka mama mmoja kula wali, nilikuwa mdogo sana wali. Nikula wali nikichochomaa. Hiyo kuinuka nimeshiba, nibidi anguke chali.
Wazee walituachia maagizo yafuatayo. Cha kwanza, kufuatilia fungu la babu yetu. Ndio unasongea mbali. Wakasema hii kazi walishaifanya sana, wenzetu wakapita mahali walitetereka. Nguvu zikawaishia, wakashindwa kuendelea na safari ya kufuatilia. Sisi tumeanza. Lakini hiyo yote ni katika kutengeneza umoja wa kurudisha fungu kwanza la mzee wetu. Hicho ndicho kilio ambacho sisi akina baba bado tunaendelea kulia nacho. Na tunaita sasa msiba ambao bado haujaisha. Sisi tuna utaratibu wa 40 jamani. Sasa hizi zipo 100 na kitu miaka 115.
Utaingia wapi? Utaenda kutokea wapi? Kiingereza chenye uwezi, Kijerumani uwezi, kachimboni tu kufanya baada ya mjezi. Basi sawa, yule kaka anasaidia kuhesabu. Aya, basi kwa wiki hapa tumeitumia tu vipindi na nini kwa kuwafanyia marudio la 7 angalau mambo ya mazuri. Aya, asante. Asante sana baba. Mungu akubariki.
Haya, mpaka sasa.
Na ushoni hadi karibu na masikioni huku wapi? Na shingoni. Kijita kwanja.
Wewe mbona unataka jichoni?
Paka mote. Safi sana kocha. Kumbe unajua.
Jina langu naitwa naitwa John Makarius Mbano. Mimi ni kitukuu cha Nduna, Songea, Mbano. Yule mzee alituita watu watatu katika familia hiyo ya Mbano. Yule mzee kweli alisema moja kwa moja masalia yale ya kichwa cha Nduna, Songea, Mbano ambazo sisi baba zenu tumekuwa na kilio cha muda mrefu sana. Kwa hiyo na nyinyi mfanye kile kinachowezekana, mjaribu kurudisha. Naamini kwamba mtafanikiwa siku moja. Babu yenu katika ile vita, baada ya kuzikwa, manake alikatwa kichwa kikaenda Ujerumani. Kwa hiyo historia inatueleza kwamba kichwa hadi sasa hivi kipo nchi ya Ujerumani, na ndio kitu ambacho kinatutesa sisi kama familia. Manake mimi leo nitakaposhindwa kukirudisha, manake msiba huu namwachia pia mtoto wangu, ataendelea kulia.
Mein Name ist Ngoro und ich komme aus Tansania. Und Tansania war damalig das größte Land in sogenannt Deutsch-Ostafrika. Von dieser Seite man sieht die lila Faden, das ist Deutsch-Ostafrika, heute Tansania, Ruanda und Burundi. Hier ist Deutsch-Westafrika, heute Namibia. Hier im Nordwest hier ist Kamerun und Togo. Das Schlimmste, was dann uns zugestoßen ist, ich wusste auch, aber es geht den Human Remains, sogenannt menschliche Gebeine. Es gibt so viele Straßennamen hier in Deutschland, die ehren die Menschen, diese Kriminalität gemacht haben. Und das finden wir wirklich, das darf nicht sein. Das ist die Petersallee. Und Petersallee ehrt dieser Mann hier, Karl Peters. Und der Peters war schon bekannt brutal. Man sagt auch, war eine Art als Psychopath. Ist er ein bisschen an der Küste entlang und ein bisschen tiefer im Land gegangen. Und da hat er versucht, unsere Führer mit einer Pistole eingehören hier, unterschreiben. Wenn nicht, sind sie tot. Und die Mann hat ihn sogar in Tansania getauft, Mkono wa damu, also blutiges Hand. Und hier in Deutschland war er bekannt als Hänge-Peters, weil er kannte nur hängen. Hat er auch zum Spaß Menschen hängen lassen, nur zu setzen und seine Bierchen trinken und zu sehen, wie man hängt, dadurch er stirbt.
kazi. Nasema leo nije kwanza nikutembelea hapa uweze kuongea
sana,
upate mambo mengi ya kipindi cha ujana wako kipindi hiki. Yaani kwa miaka mingi tumekuwa tukifuatilia masalia ya Songea.
ndio
Nyinyi mmefuatilia wakati wenu, lakini mmeshindwa. Lakini sio kushindwa, yaani zile juhudi ambazo mlizifanya zile zilikuwa walijitahidi sana. Zamani pale nilikuwa nasikiaga kuna wimbo mmoja tulikuwa tunacheza kwenye beni.
ndio
Wimbo mzuri sana.
ndio
Unaukumbuka nyimbo zile?
naukumbuka sana.
Ndio kwanza mmoja.
Mlongo wangu we, mlongo wangu we, sina mwenzangu we,
Ulikuwa unamaanisha nini?
Uwimbo huu wakati walivyokuwa wanaenda polini kwenye vita yao. Sasa kule si ndio walikuwa wanakufa sana. Hao walitumia kikopo na wao wenzao mtu wao walikuwa wanatumia bunduki mtalingana. Wale waliokuwa wanarudi kule na mikono mitupu, si wamewaachilia wenzao. Wale ndio waliotunga wimbo mlongo wangu sina mwenzangu kwenye beni.
Walikuwa wanalia sana.
Ndio.
Wewe unajisikiaje sasa unapoimba leo?
Mimi bwana najisikia tu niko peke yangu.
Sasa unapoimba huu wimbo ujisikie huzuni kidogo?
Huzuni lazima uwe. Mlongo wangu we, mlongo wangu we, sina mwenzangu we, mlongo wangu we, mlongo wangu we, sina mwenzangu we,
Maybe we can stop here for the moment. So did you, maybe it's better when I had my impression when I've seen the movie the first time, and maybe you can give your feelings as professionals in how, do you already have an impression how it is, how the difference is, or is there a difference for you to consider the different not for me I was when I've seen the film the first time, and then it was just by my stomach, and I found I was completely frustrated not to see the old woman singing, for example, and that they don't trust really the what the people are saying. And I want to, this old lady, she is saying so beautiful things that I felt frustrated when they are cutting into random things on the children, the little boys and so on, and which I found not really necessary for the story. I don't know if they had the same feeling. And for example, when you see this old man in Germany. Of course, he's speaking, but you see him and you see the listeners, and you don't have extra
explanatory shots, basically.
I don't know if you and for me the big frustration is always that I have the impression they don't trust really the word of the people or some. So I think it's already maybe in the camera, but yeah, and also you have sometimes you have only but as there is the off sound, there had to be normally the images, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's really a camera. Like I personally couldn't find so many differences with the camera. Like I felt the difference in the editing. Like,
in the editing,
the choices. I would have taken more time especially in the African, like to trust it. Like for me also the scene in the church didn't like. You had this beautiful soundtrack, but it didn't quite fit. I would have liked it more if it started with because it started with the singing, but the pictures didn't match it at first. So I would have started slower, like more gentle with different music, or just trust the sound, and later you see them singing in this. Yeah.
But it's also in the selection of what is shot. So on the Tanzanian side, you have landscapes.
Exactly.
You don't know what these rocks are meant to be. Then you come to family, so it's all very emotional. You have the family, you have conversations between the family, what they remember or not. And on the German side, you have this more, I don't know, political strength, this intellectual thing, quite, I don't know, focused on what he was saying, what he was talking about, the political story of the whole thing. And on the African side, you always have this emotional.
And a little bit random, it can be everywhere. So I think an African cameraman would not film this because it's part of his environment. Yeah, so I think this is, and
I just want to go back on what is shot or not. I would have expected then on the German side, of course, that was this man. I don't know his relation to the families who own the skulls, but I don't know whether they really tried to research descendants of the German crime holders at that time, and then interview them about their history, or the history of their families who did all these crimes in Tanzania. So I don't know, but it's a bit lacking.
Now the film is, this guy, him, no? This guy is since years struggling for this coming back. And I find also, we are at 16 minutes, and I don't know if we really understood who is the man who is filmed in Tanzania with his family. He is not, I think he's not really presented or introduced what it is about, no? Do you understand?
Isn't it the grandson of the man speaking at the grave?
But I think there was not enough. I would have had more understanding, more time with him instead of bloop, 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 So that's...
I find it an interesting question, because when you have these inserts and you show more of the environment, then the question is what's the audience? Like, who do you make this film for? Because you were saying, an African person knows all that they wouldn't shoot it because it's just too normal. But and this is the honest question. So do you want, for example, European audiences to see that and get a feeling what life in a village is like, because then these shots have merit. This
is the question. Does the European public know more when they have these editor. This is, when we come to production, this is always the discussion you have with the commission editor and so on, because often the films are, also the films from African directors, they are financed sometimes for arte or some things, and this struggle you have all the time, but of course you have to make your film maybe understandable also for the European public, but then how? I think this is a little bit the question, and always you have, I think you as an editor, you have always this question about Bauchbinden or not. Do you explain, when do you put explanations where you are, who is that, and of course I did another film, The Colonial Misunderstanding by Jean-Marie Tino. I don't have a link, but it was always the struggle, when do you put how far you go with explanations or not, and because finally the public is not stupid either, so yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking also it's really like the imbalance is really like very obvious between the two, because like we are first in the place in Tanzania, and like obviously what they're doing is really explaining everything about it, no matter if it's related to the subject that we're talking about or not. That's what I grasp. And then we can just go to Berlin and we can say we're in Berlin, and then we go directly like into content.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. And like I also felt that it was really, and I could feel how, like, because we're always struggling with like also cutaway shots and all these things, so I can understand. Like I immediately feel like I'm sitting there and feeling with the person who also had to solve the problem of like staying within a situation. So I can relate to that also, but with the amount of material that they obviously shot, it's also really awkward to have some like the drying, like the clothes on the clothes rack line, what does it tell me about the organization of daily life like in that place, and it so was quite palpable. But I feel that in a lot of documentary movies also, where everything that's not Central or Western European has to be explained.
Yeah.
And then the question comes in like, why don't we, because then there's the African audience, so why don't we explain Berlin, like what life in Berlin, why is that not, why is there no equality?
We have shown the film in Senegal, they understood what is going, they don't need the explanation about Berlin.
It depends on whether you can actually add something. I mean, that's a creative question. Like, can you add something that maybe people in Africa wouldn't know about Berlin?
Yeah.
Like an aspect that is not just because for me at least, like with every place where I haven't been, there's only so much that I know from TV.
But I liked the other day, we wanted to have this conversation with the editor of DAO from Alagomis, but they had only 4 days visa. And there was one, I don't know if you were there was one of these young ladies, I liked it. She said, I only have seen the excerpt who was posting, and I like this openness. She said, for us young, it was interesting, this film, because we had images from Guinea-Bissau and from Paris. And for us, it was interesting to know the sounds of Paris, of France. I don't know if a German editor will tell you it was interesting to learn about the sounds of Tanzania and so on. I like this openness and this, that they go like this with a feeling, and yeah. I think for me this was really, when I've seen this movie, it was so obvious for me, and I think it was a little bit a pity that for me it was with this old lady when she is singing. I want, you want this emotion on the screen, no? So, do we go with another excerpt or maybe? But I just go like this too. So this is a film I co-produced by a Congolese director. It's called Kinshasa Makambo. Ach, was? Hoffentlich mache ich jetzt nicht nochmal was falsch. Okay. By Diodo Hamadi. And this was Diodo Hamadi is a Congolese director who is shooting himself, editing himself the most of the time, and then maybe working with an editor. But it was complicated to edit because what we did. The story started with an idea, and then during the elections in Congo in 2020, when I think so, yeah, 20 was it? I think, yeah, when there was and the election were reported, and there had to be a change in the government, and the director had the idea to follow one of these activists who went to America, and then the film was called Back to Kinshasa. They wanted him to follow him, and when he comes secretly to make the elections. But then it came out that he was not such an interesting character for the film. So there was then a group of people, and it was a production for Arte, and it was produced by a French producer who did a workshop with this film. So he had a lot of co-producers, so color correction there, mixing there, so a lot of things too. So the budget was raised because of that, because then you have to spend the money in all these parts, and you don't really have the choice to select the technician you want as a producer. You really want to, because you have the color grading in, I think it was in Sweden, the mixing was in Switzerland. Okay, this mixer was a great person. The director himself always did the film himself. The films before, they were more militant, with less money. He did them himself. He did it with, he edited them himself, and so it was never with all these things. And so it was, and there was this resistance, how far trust the other technicians or not. And it was a little bit complex. I was a little bit frustrated at the end, because I would have loved that he meets a good technician who has the same vision that him to how do you say, begleiten? Yeah, to accompany him for the right thing. But you have, and also then of course you have all this discussion with the TV. How far, what do you leave, what do you make concessions, on what not, and how far you have to explain. And maybe I show you the beginning. I think it's better to have the beginning, so you know on what, and then I can show you later a scene where we were struggling. And also, as is an activist, so there are a lot of these demonstrations filming, which can be sometimes a little bit also random, because it can be every demonstration somewhere. So it was not so easy, and he edited together with a friend of him where he trusted enormously, and the production always want a real editor on it, and it was a really, really long process because there was a lot of material and the film was found more or less during the editing, and this was a bit complex. And then everybody said it's not his best film and so on, but I like the film. It's a very important testimony of this time, this moment. Oh, the problem is that I don't have the English subtitled link, sorry. It's the French one. So, but as an editor, go with the images and the feeling. And it was on my old computer. So it's a Congolese director. So in 2016, the second mandate of Kabila came, and he didn't want to quit the power. So this was the cinema version, I think, because we had also a shorter one for art. And it was complicated also. Yeah, we'll speak later. Huh? You want me to translate the subtitles, or it's okay? I'm sorry.
Monsieur Kabila doit partir par tout moyen possible. On ne peut plus laisser messieurs. Monsieur Kabila.
Kinshasa is never empty like this, huh? This was this time to couvre-feu, curfew.
Alors, papa, c'est Ben. Isabelle. Ben. Naza na kina. Ben, normalement, na ngai na tante ndeni na kovanda awa, na kozonga na s'installer sur awa. Ouais. Ben, on est là-bas, on expliquer au cas, dans la difficulté, na kutana na côté kuna et tout, j'avais jugé bon. Na yana mutinde na yake na koma na daza bandena ko observer na zuma contact na bami de gauche à droite na tangen na ko katsa alors na katsa ki na sala ni identité msusu na koti na ngo ndi na zo observer na pa na ibande makambe ko leka pour que na za na ha. Alors ça me casse nasa dedans nasa profil bas. Goni maman. Si maman zali bo pesa na ni pena pesa ndo. Ah, ok. Merci.
Nautaki Kobe Kama, Natasha Makangaina Natasho.
Manufold, gauche. Après, ça fait aussi épaule. Gauche et à l'œil gauche. Bon, bien sûr, ce n'est pas gonflé, mais ils sont quand même choses. Et puis, à la jambe gauche.
Salut les générations des cafés.
Je sais pas, et c'est vraiment la cause à la mission. Donc, tout le monde là qui voit. Ils ont des choses claires. Niveau où il m'a dit, niveau où il y a pas affronté, etc. Aujourd'hui, on voit comme ça, mais est-ce que vous voulez dire vous créez la caille? C'est ça, il y a des gens qui ont un souffle d'information. C'était ça. Donc, il y a des confiances vraiment, mais il n'était pas clair.
Qu'est-ce qu'il dit?
Beaucoup imaginer que on a on ça là, on pouvait enlever mon trash. Quand je dis ici dans ce pays, j'ai une famille, j'ai mes collaborateurs, j'ai des collègues, j'ai avec au travail et tout, des organisations partenaires. J'arrive, mais tout ce qui est autour de toi, tu n'as pas ta place ici. Là, c'est où il fallait que ça. Mais réalité Afrique, d'abord, vraiment, mais plus en plus, les cachets autres choses pour nous, comme ça, c'est qui fait que tu te retrouves tout seul. Sans travail, tout le monde peut faire le travail pour y avoir un clandestin. Alors, en clandestin, tu dois aller travailler dans les poubelles. Donc, là, c'est que la formation, la qualité, tu pars en prison. Donc, quand tu pars en prison, tu n'as pas les papiers en direct. D'abord, pour 5 ans en prison, quand tu seras en prison avec eux. C'est pour cela que je me suis dit, bon, c'est mieux de rentrer ici chez nous et de reconstituer ma vie. Et d'éviter même dans la clandestinité, il n'y a pas de problème. Parce qu'auquel je suis supposé ne sont pas des échelles, qu'on a pour annoncer la rentrée nécessairement aux adultes.
C'était ça ton signe, Jean-Pierre? C'était ça ton signe qu'on arrête là?
Non, c'est juste pour le temps.
Ah oui, ok. Ouais. So, sorry for the, but you got it about what it is? So, here so it's filmed on a long period. We had to wait a long time because the election did not happen. So this guy came back from America because he wanted to organize the started from there. So the difficulty here was that there was a lot of material and one moment you did not, especially me as a European person, I could not identify sometimes in the first edit who is who. So the problem was how to introduce the three main characters and also how far. It took a long time to decide that we only put the name and not more, and then because during the process of the film now you will see them more in groups, in debates, and also I don't know if in this for you, if in this introduction you got already who is who more or less or not, or what is your observation as an editor?
I liked how they were like really introduced, like we stayed for a long time with each person. So I thought that was a great choice. The last part, was he released from prison? Because that's what I.
Yeah, he was released from prison, and he came back home, and everybody says, stop the struggle, and now the film goes on. They go back to the street, and then there will come the debate around, do we use, the whole question is, do we go to a political party, do we use violence, and how far we engage in this thing to have the revolution, and so this is it.
So who edited this one?
Huh?
Who was the editor of this one?
This was Diodo with Hélène together. So Diodo himself edited with a friend of him, but he was supervising, presenting it the whole time. But
so he's the only editor of this material?
He is the editor with a friend of him from France.
So there's a French editor.
But he was the main editor, so with Hélène. But one moment the production really wanted because she was more or less his ally. So they had a lot of discussions. And one moment the question was, do we need chef monteuse to go in it again? So this was really the point. Because how do you feel it? Why?
No, I'm just asking because you introduced very well with this different gaze, and then the first one was clearly German, Tanzanian, and you could see both. And then now this one, it was not clear who was what. And so he was the director, even if he was editing, it was an editor. He was French editor because of the production.
No, he refused to have a French editor. He said, I will do it with my friend Hélène, because
she's not an editor.
I think that it was more or less a collaboration.
No, I'm just saying as a profession, what is she doing in life?
She is an editor, but the French production company didn't consider her as a real editor. So it was a bit, this was the Benkel thing on it. And in my opinion, Diodo took her because he trusted her, and he could there was a dialogue, and he knew that she will do not what he wants, but she will not bring this European gaze too much, because he worked before with this Rodolphe, with this French editor, on his previous film, Examen d'État, and he thought, I think he thought that this French editor, comment dit, lissé, polished too much his way of filming.
And you as a producer, what was your take? What relation to what the French production was saying?
I was defending because I have seen this film before, and I thought they destroyed his. He did a film. He did 2 or 3 films which I liked a lot, and then he did this film Examen d'État, who everybody found a masterpiece. And I had always the feeling that for me it's too polished, or something did not work for me. Even if maybe I have to watch the film again, but at this time, and I was on the side to defend the way we did it. So, but the process was long for other reasons too, because the elections didn't take place, so there was always this waiting time, and yeah.
So why did you pick this film as a case study on what we are trying to tell us? Why did you pick this one?
Because of the to also to counterpoint what the film before, to give the impression, that you can see because I think it has not this. I will give you another. I wanted to put another example of this new film Trop c'est trop, where it's also in Congo, also images shot by the director himself, but edited from a French editor. That's maybe we can. But there, I'm not sure that because I've only seen the film now on the Berlinale, but I will try to, maybe we start also with the beginning so we can maybe see the difference. I have also, again, some examples from Germany, but how much time we have?
No, I mean, it depends on people.
But maybe what I found interesting, what we can maybe do also at the end, is to see what tools we need also when we do a German production, for example, shot in another country, because I think also what is very important is to how we bring the production together, who is going to shoot, how we prepare the thing, what is how important we take the people. Do we have a co-producer and not only a stringer, because often the people just need a stringer and then he's doing the whole job, but we need how far we go also in the dialogue before, not to, yeah, like as you do when you do have a script advice for a certain topic, also to have a real conversation in before, you know. This is another, yeah, it was now in Berlinale, and this is edited by, the guy is a young filmmaker who filmed, and then it was organized later.
Hadithi yetu ni hadithi ya nchi isiyowezekana. Mji wangu Goma umeanguka ndani ya mikono ya waasi. Kisha mapambano ya siku 4, waasi wa M23 wameangusha jeshi letu la FARDC pia na jeshi zote ambazo zilikuwa pale Goma, kama jeshi la Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Malawi, Afrika du Sud, Burundi, mercenaires roumains na wamilisi wazalendo. Mumacho ya baze ya kabambi sana mudunia ya Nations Unies, MONUSCO.
Laisse-moi vous parler de chez moi. Chez moi où ça crépite, ça saigne, ça tue. Laisse-moi vous parler de Bunagana, Kiwanja, Rutshuru, Beni, Butembo, Ituri. Laisse-moi vous parler de l'Église. Ça fait plus d'une décennie que chez moi, on ne connaît que les crépitements de balles. Des enfants qui naissent au couteau machette de rebelles. Des mères violées, forcées d'épiler leurs bébés. Des maisons pillées, des champs ravagés. Et chaque jour, ce sont des camps de déplacés qui se créent. Et comme si la guerre ne suffisait pas, la famine, la maladie extermine les nôtres dans le grand regard impuissant des dirigeants. Chez moi, avant que les cris du coq résonnent, la nouvelle des égorgés circulait. Les enfants obligés de rester à la maison car leurs écoles sont brûlées. L'éducation s'envole en fumée, c'est l'avenir du pays qui est en danger. Et comme je parle de l'avenir du pays, je vois cette jeunesse enragée et impuissante, à qui l'on dit être les dirigeants de demain, pourtant sa formation n'est pas assurée. Alors dites-moi c'est quoi cet avenir qui apparaît déjà incertain, échoué, perdu? Mais dites-leur qu'on n'a pas peur, qu'on ne cédera pas tant que le peuple souffrira, qu'on ne lâchera rien tant que le peuple ne saura dans quoi il embarque avec des signatures sanguinaires. On n'abandonnera pas, on marchera, on manifestera pour notre salut car le Congo est grand et exige de nous de la grandeur. Alors, nous allons réécrire l'histoire de notre pays. Au travers ces vers, ces phrases crues, nous allons porter si haut le flambeau de la paix, de la tranquillité de l'Est, même s'il est à des mille kilomètres de Kinshasa. Rendons-nous le pays de nos ancêtres, le pays de Lumumba, Kulula, Baouma, Mamadou Ndala. Je rappelle qu'il n'y a pas de Congo sans Beni, Bunia, Butembo, Bunagana, Ituri, Rutshuru. Il n'y a pas de Congo sans l'Est de la RD Congo. Il n'y a pas de Congo sans l'Est de la RD Congo.
Wani haujui
Kama na kuona aibu yetu mbili, urithi wetu umegeuka kuwa mali ya wengine, nyumba zetu mali ya watu wa nchi ingine. Amen. Amen. Na tusomee kwenye Rwanda.
Maganya ya Yeremia
Karibu.
itangiriro wa mbere n'uwa kabiri. Uwiteka ibuka itaduteye, tegereze kandi urebe gukorwa n'isoni kwacu. Umwandu wacu wahindutse nk'uw'abanyamahanga. Uwa kabiri, umwandu wacu wa
So, for me, I don't know how did you feel it, but for me it was different when I've seen the film the other day on the big screen. But when I've seen the film the first time, we are at minute 10, and somehow this young guy was filming a lot, and I think he has a very good images and really a good feeling for the people. But I don't really, I had a feeling that it's a little bit in the montage. Okay, it could be just a patchwork of the situation there, but I did not feel I forgot in the film. I don't know how you feel it. I forgot a little bit the guy himself. His urgency, and because I think he is not really well introduced with this some little of this urgency we do when you see the young director after the screening. I felt him was very honest and urgent and really so wie sagt man da wenn es geht Leben und Tod, so really, so for him it was a real urgency to do, and I felt that they tried to organize these chaos of images, but there is not sometimes in my feeling. I don't know, how do you feel? We are at minute 10. Do you feel this young filmmaker coming out of this? And so, yeah, this was a little bit my question.
Okay, I don't know if he's young or not. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. No,
but
no, what you have seen now, you don't know the film.
The beginning is kind of striking, these first images of people living. It was very strong. Okay, yeah, stands few things. The story is not very clear. Maybe the rapper is the one who kind of give a little bit of background of where we are, what's going on, really. I feel also that there is, and we talked about it like many days before, where, and we had it yesterday also, I think, this idea that the filmmaker or the editor doesn't really take control of the story. And you feel the kind of idea of just showing the images, and the images should be talking by themselves, and nobody taking responsibility to really take the story this direction and say this is what we are saying. And I heard you saying that the director just made images and then came with images and
with a lot of, and then a French editor yeah, who is a good editor, but he is also this editor of Examen d'Etat. When I found they polished the images of Judo, I felt it a little bit here too. And also for when you said the story, you know, of course the rapper is there, but the rapper at himself is already somehow a story, you know, because these rappers are used in the film, if you see the whole film 2 or 3 times, and it's like, for me it's like we are the rappers, they are giving some sense, some storytelling to the rest of the film. And yeah,
As a production again, and that's what I was trying to get. You know, the production didn't was not there when the director shot the images.
no,
And so the production came after.
I think so, yeah, more or less, yeah.
Already had images. And when he says very young, does it mean he's not experienced, never done something before?
He did not do a film before, but he has some projects and he's filming.
So, okay, because I think this is going to happen a lot, because this is what we have now. Everybody has images, like tons of images, everybody has a camera. So, just the fact that he's from a place where there's war going on, where there's, you know, heavy story. So now, him having a camera, I don't know if he's different from the young guy in Berlin having a camera, but just like in Berlin, nothing is happening right now. But and when the production company, you know, now decide to make a film from somebody who has images just because this image is from Goma, bring in, I'm just trying to, you know, to kind of see the whole picture. Bring in a very experienced editor, you know, to now turn it into a film, maybe with the director for sure. And also you can feel the editor trying to not take responsibility because I guess he's French and feeling like, no, I should let this African with his images speak on their own, using this rapper speak on their own. But I see him very much. Anyway, even if he's trying to be invisible, you know, what editors are a lot of time, you know. And I think that whole, and we talked about yesterday with Angelica, was that whole pudeur, I mean, you call it English, but to not take responsibility and not drive the story clearly to a certain direction with the consequence of it, you know, to really distort it or to be blamed for being too this or that. My sense is that it's producing a type of film that are very ethnological, in my perspective, voyeuristic, you know, but where we don't, and those who I love very much, you know, because obviously Europe has an experience of ethnological films, you know, voyeuristic, you go and see this tribe, what's going on there. So I think I can understand why those films are successful, you know, and I feel that a little bit, you know, in the.
You know, for me, these two examples, I choose them because, of course, the first film, it could fail because, you know, this was a risk that the thing will not work out because it was not big, and it was even, I think, the director wanted to please Europe because the subject was really sexy. You know, there are elections, there are these young people, there are revolutionaries, we will follow them, and finally, it did not work as we calculated it, maybe for Arte. So this was the whole struggle during, also the frustration somehow in this film. And when I have you seen this Trop c'est trop, Doris? Okay. When I've seen this on the small screen, the last film, I felt it could have been wherever in this kind of regions. Of course, this filmmaker he is, or this guy, he is completely wie soll man sagen, aufgebracht, also he is upset, he is starting to film because he grew up in this fucking he never has seen something else as war, that he really to, but I don't. And of course then he meets this very experienced producer and this editor who has edited a lot of films from the African continent. But it's a little bit, he's not, I think it's not to a process to him, it's just to this is always the danger when you, because there's also this admiration, of course, for the experience of the guy and so on. And I felt that somehow this in some points in the film you have it, but then at the end it becomes again random. You first you don't understand exactly who is who. This is also a problem, I think, for which you have to solve, because you are showing the film at the Berlinale, that the people are not, they did not only say it's confusion, because of course nobody knows who is who in this MONUSCO and all these people. But I've this for me was it's a real question how all the editor and the production has to take position and to help him in taking position. That's what you said. And for me, this is not decided in the film one moment and at the end. And you felt, of course, the people are first, they said it's a strong thing, and of course it's a statement somehow, but I felt uncomfortable somehow.
I keep referring to the discussion we had when we say editing the world, not editing the film.
Yeah.
Which is actually also kind of political position for editors, like editors see the world or how they position themselves on certain issues. And that's why we think we should finish this afternoon with the manifesto of the editors, which is kind of saying where all these things are happening, all this footage, all this AI, what is the role of the editor? Who's the editor? When you take the case of Congo specifically, on this film, and yes, there's the story of the director, him being there, trying to share his perception. I was thinking about yesterday, Francois Quash, who used only people's telephones, trying to defend their vote, fighting while filming. And him as a director saying, I didn't shoot it, I'll take it. I will build something with it. And at the end, he went completely. In the end, he decided not to finish the story where the story ended, but to finish it with an upbeat. For example, for him, because there was a big repression after the election.
You did explain to those who don't know him.
And then he decided to stop the film before the repression and to show that people's struggle with their phone was actually a victory.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his position as a director,
yes.
Which surprised all of us,
mm-hmm.
So obviously him being from Cameroon, taking a political stand, it was easier for him to design the structure for the film, as a director.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm trying to say here is that we are dealing with people who might have lived many things, and that's what is going to happen with the billions of footage we all have now on our telephones, where we need editors now to come and not just editing all that material, but editing the world, because it's about the world. I think in that case, for example, what I feel is that we have, besides saying that enough is enough, we know they are Kabila people, M23, they are the government. So we kind of know who are the stakeholders, you know. There's kind of clear, you know, I mean, at least those who live in Goma know who's who. When you say M23, some people say Bill Gates was behind it, I don't know, whatever. So there are stories very clearly for people who live the situation, know what's going on, and who was against who, and who supported who. That whole idea of not being political is saying trop c'est trop, exactly. It's kind of the same images. You just see wars, military, blah, blah, police go, but not even as a filmmaker, I'm not being political, clearly, you know, and as the editor also, not really, you know, clearly helping to kind of helping to really clarify the situation. Because what is the outcome of the film besides trying to come to recognize it?
Exactly.
Because when Francois yesterday was talking about his editing, for him it was to give strength to people so that they don't think they lost, because many people they were repression. So he was clearly saying that this film should help people have courage and know that you know they did something great. Mm-hmm. So he had a very clear goal with this film that was not getting awards or selling it or having an audience. So that's a big critique in general of what filmmaking is achieving. You know what? You know, I call it in Africa red carpet cinema, because right now a lot of films for the red carpet. Mainly when you talk about Nigerian film, now it's a lot about red carpet cinema. The feeling that I'm very disappointed. I've seen the whole film, but Jacques Bidou, JBA, who's the co-producer, is very political producer, experienced producer. You know, and he has, you know, background himself, you know, in being, you know, involved in many situations in the world. But the more we have images, the more we are confused by this chaotic flow of images, you know, the more we have to be clear about what we want images to achieve. At least that's my feeling. And this, based on just what I've saw, I've seen the whole thing, really it's like, it's a sexy subject, for sure, you know, Goma, Congo, and they have many images and everything.
And you have sexy rappers and dancers coming and so on. You know, I'm a little bit...
that relationship, I think I would say to Maria, that relationship for me is really problematic. You know, when we talk about editing relationship, that relationship is problematic. You know, and it doesn't help the situation, it doesn't help the filmmaker, it doesn't help people there, it doesn't even help cinema itself. I mean, that's if you just leave at that level. That's my feeling on this. I don't know you.
And also what I think it's very dangerous is to, you know, to in this case, when you have the first case is completely different upset, of course, but here you have this first time filmmaker, you have a first time producer, and you have also this respect and of course knowledge of the business, and then how, for me it's very tricky at what time, because when do you go a little bit back, and how can you go with somebody that it's not too much impressed by your knowledge too, you know. I don't know how to handle this sometimes, you know what I mean. This I found very...
That you don't interfere with the vision, or?
No, that you know, if you are a young filmmaker from and you meet these very experienced people, that it's also very difficult to one time to say, no, I want it like this, or I, you know, to find your own way, because it's like a mentor for you, and who is this mentor, and And who is the model? You know, this is, I found very tricky.
So to be authentic in your expression.
Authentic, and also to find your way, you know. This is, I think, a very complicated thing.
It's a bit hard to judge a film after 10 or 15
Yeah.
minutes, of course. I found it quite helpless in a way, navigating through the images for him, because I had the impression there is not a really narrative or a discourse. I don't know what is he talking about, because there is this film sequences, then there's photographs of the military,
Yeah.
and then you have the rapper in the studio, which was completely unnecessary. I mean, at least he would have taken just the music in a way to navigate through the film. That would have made sense for me, but to have the rapper in the studio, I mean,
And then the pastor and then, you know.
yeah, like I'm wondering whether, like, is this the protagonist? Like, who? I didn't quite know what. I found it really confusing. Like, also in the first images, like you tell me as somebody who's never been there, something about that region. But then I did feel the European gaze in that, like, to just linger so much, because it's not really starting the story.
Yeah.
Like, so I think I would not have included them actually at all. But really,
Franziska, an editor as well. So isn't it? I mean, when I was shooting also my first things alone, just with the camera, because I felt within a need of shooting, and then I ended up in my editing room alone for years. This kind of stuff. So we probably have it always at this start, or the start somehow. You get a little bit lost, and you have this idea of, if you show it authentic, without editing, you show authenticity, and you don't do. I mean, so that's the question: how we shape. And then I think when we are young, we have this tendency of, because we are still searching, so we don't like to kneel down for, like I think nowadays we have to be really clear what we are saying, because it's so much in the world. And this is somewhere where it's coming from, this whole gives us this feeling of, and sometimes I think, yeah, I don't know, mood to say things clear, yeah? Because then you get this Reibung, yeah?
And is it not also when you, as a director, or, you know, okay, Francois took the images from the others, and this is something else, but if you start filming, is it not also, I was asking myself if wouldn't have better that he tries organizing what he wants to say himself, even in a random way, you know. That was my point, because is this experienced editor the good guy for this guy, for what he wanted to express? It is because he started filming because he was upset, and then he has, but it was not with a, maybe with this thing, I want to make a film, or I want to make a film about that. He just was filming this chaos surrounding him.
Yeah, but then I want to see him upset in this chaos.
You know, and this is my frustration in the film. I want to see the guy.
Yeah.
I want to see the director who tell me, and not only some words at the beginning, blue, blue, blue.
Yeah,
but I have, you know, then you see a person from back. You don't know if it's him. You see some people coming, and I would have told him as a producer, fuck, you have to be in the film.
Yeah, but they are so shy, you know?
Maybe, but it's my duty as a producer, no? Maybe to say, what?
I just said that I share that experience. And then directors who just don't want to be in their own worlds.
Yeah, but they are,
but sometimes
not evil. You always see. Yeah, but you know, this come later. Isn't it this illusion we have for cinematography? That we think it's something neutral, something objective, but we are always in. And when we are young, we still believe that this is something true. If we see a moving picture, we think it's true. More than written text. We believe. We need it.
And somebody, and they are selling the film as there is this young guy filming, upset, and you see and when you see the man, he is so moving, and he is somebody, you feel he is honest and authentic, and you I felt that I would have loved to see him in the movie because he moved me, and these images don't move me somehow, because at the end, this was my feeling. Okay, there are moments where you are moved when you see it on a big screen, yeah, but when I've seen it on a small screen, I find it somehow could have been some images which we filmed for Kinshasa Makambo, or but I I did not. Even the old lady you are seeing in the film, which is filmed, which is staying a moment. Do you feel it's a strong moment?
I don't know why it's there in the. Then I asked myself, I connected it to song before. I do it in my head, something else. But I don't know if it's the intention.
Yeah.
This is what I actually liked about the second example you showed.
What?
This is what I liked about the second example you showed, that it's very clear the relationship between the film camera person or filmmaker and the protagonist. For me, it's very clear what they want from each other, and yeah, this urgency to be filmed, their relationship to the film. All this was for me very clear in the second film. And the first and third, not so much. Especially in the first one. Actually, this scene with the old lady was terrible for me to watch.
For me too.
Because I'm trying to find out why actually, and I think because it was not clear for her it's not clear why she's actually filmed. And I also don't, I have the feeling that she is not sure if she really wants to be a part of the film. It's very much felt so forced and constructed.
So actually, are you saying that the film she produced was better produced? That's what it is. Kinshasa Makambu, right? That's what it is. So, because that's one you produced.
Yes.
So
Co-produced.
Co-produced, yeah. So, but the idea that the approach was more successful for the outcome than the first and the third. Is it? I mean, that's where it's leading us. So, do you have a recipe now that you draw some, strategy that make it?
No, what I think is very important for when you speak from as a European producer, for example. I think as a producer you have to follow, to find out what the director wants to tell. This is the first thing to do, and to grab and to make and it takes time, it's dollars, and you have to know if you want to work together, and not only a lot of people, they know they can get money there and there and there, and they have to spend the money there and there and there, so you need this cameraman, so I think can be a problem. But of course, every film, I think everybody can film wherever he wants. He has to be honest, and you, of course, I have to grab. But then once, and I think this is a crucial process to find the right person with whom you are collaborating. It can be a producer, it can be a good friend, it can be whatever. But I think this is the a very crucial point to choose the right person, the right director you want to work with, and the right producer. And then you have to, and if I cannot find myself as a German white person, sometimes maybe I need advice from somebody else who can help the director further, but I think my role is to go so far that I'm absolutely convinced that we will do it, and also to find solutions on the way. But I think it has a lot to do also with intuition, with feeling for rhythm. I'm not an editor. I cannot, when I see a rough cut, I cannot analyze what to do. But I know when I see a rough cut, I know where I function a lot with my heart, where I'm bored, or where it does not work, or where I forget who is who, and if you start who is who, then you lost the feeling in the film. And this I can say. And when I see a rough cut, and then when there is an editor sitting with the director, normally the editor knows exactly, and somebody good. So, and I think it's very important for each film also to I think this chemistry, which technician you choose, and so on, it's crucial, and it has also to do with feelings, and or with intuition, who can fit together. And I think today there is a lot of production done outside in Europe, outside who is financing. I need an editor from Cologne, blah blah blah. I give you now the German example, and of course the second film was very complicated, and I think as a good producer to know the best legs of your films, or as a good editor, where but I think despite the fact that we had to make the color correct in Sweden and the things there, the good thing is that the director knew at the beginning what he wanted to show, but if in the one moment he had the honesty to himself and to us to say, my idea was not did not work. So how we are halfway, how do we change, and how can we save the film, the project, because money was engaged and so on. And I think he was intelligent enough to tell us, and to discuss it, and to listen and to take what he had to take, and not. But this is also the intelligence of a director, I think.
That is what you're saying through the other side too. So meaning, who you are. If he's a German director or working on Africa, or he's an African director working with an European production, is it exactly the same, or you?
It's completely. I think it's. I think the problems are different, of course, but for a German, this is what I observed. When I worked with Uli Gaulke in Burkina Faso, or with another director in Mali. This is you have often people go with their images there, and then you have first to convince the production that you need people for art, but it's the same thing. You need also good people to accompany the guys, but it's I think often I can give you another example from a young director from Ludwigsburg who made a film who is called Haraga, about the young people in Morocco who won't go over the sea. So it's there I find more exotism often, and not. I have the impression that there are young filmmakers, they are brought at home and then they are going to shoot abroad and not really knowing what they are doing. It's like they have an idea and then they go there, and sometimes they even don't go to research and to find out exactly what they want to do. They come with a fixed idea. And I think there are a lot of films like, or there is some fancy African themes, like Milo Rao with the Congo Tribunal, for example. I've shown it in Nigeria. He didn't want to come to present the film with me. He only goes when he decided how he will organize the presentations. He did it some in Congo, but so this the Nigerian public cannot stand this his sort of, he as a European organizing how it has to be done, and this is, I think there are some of this kind of movies. Yeah, it's a complex thing.
You're supposed to give us solution.
No, I think the only thing is to be solution. Yes, I think to have constantly in mind what, I think this is when you when you want to do an honest work in arts, what you are doing, respect the other and also challenge the other, because I think also that sometimes there is also this thing, we cannot say something then because it becomes racist or whatever. I think we have to, when I'm a producer, I have to challenge things, and then if I don't understand, I have to try to not maybe to understand them, but at least to understand why the director wants to do that. And then when I grab, then I can also say, okay, this is I go with you. But
so let's say you're not there, because everything now becomes you being
no, not me.
No, I'm just saying, you just mentioned something saying if the director either is saying something racist or is doing something racist, like, is it possible to train them before they go to Africa? Like Africa for Dummies,
Yes, this is my idea.
So that at least you do a handbook. No, I'm just saying, because if it's not, doesn't have to go through you, So you just give like a recipe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you come, you do this and that. So this is for that, because you know these situations, you've experienced them. You have a lot of case studies in all out of countries: Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Kinshasa. So you should maybe map, like, so to do some kind of very clear.
I think there has to be a sort of in film schools, a sort of a course how to film abroad or how to prepare. I think so, because no, this, all these colonial misunderstandings, all these things, this bridging.
I know. I was in movie school when the refugees came here in 2016, and everybody was focusing on this scene. And I was like, okay, right, they come here, but it's not my scene.
Okay.
And I think it really also breaks down to, like, and you said that it's like really the question, why am I making this film? Like, I think it's a super fundamental question, and many people cannot answer it. And that's something that I see when I go to documentary film festivals and at the Q&As, and I see directors who have the right passport and they come from like the country that allows them to travel, and they have these resources and they go somewhere because they feel a fascination and they feel drawn. And if someone really asks like this question, like, why did you make this film? Why did you make this film? Why did you make this film? And why did you make this film? And not another, like, how to break down that phrase. And I think that's also like that, like not in terms of a recipe of something, but it's just something that I notice. How many Q&As and moments I've had, like at film festivals where directors were not able to answer these questions, or I couldn't feel it. And I think that can be something like really helpful to not stop going into talking about, like specifically really talking about everyone's motivation who's involved and why they're doing what they're doing. And it's not done because it's always about solving problems and like getting step on, and somehow like that way of like handling all the pressure that comes in film production doesn't leave a lot of space for that question, and that makes it very comfortable also for people to not really look into their, like what could be their personal answer and to evade that somehow. That's something that I feel like very strongly both in documentary and in fictional film.
And I think this is, so I learned production as that, you know. I think this is the most crucial moment as a producer, and the most exciting also, you know. I find it very exciting to sometimes you meet people who did 5 residencies, you know, Africa Doc there, and then a lot of experts telling them something, and then you ask these guys, what was the beginning? Why fucking you want to do this, and why you are the best person for that? You know, and then he said, oh, this and this and this told me this and this and this, and then little by little you find out what was the really inner motor, and sometimes, especially for first-time filmmakers, where you want to say everything what you have to say. Maybe sometimes it's too early to do this kind of film. But, you know, I had also once a lady who did the film, had a documentary film in during the Bosniak War. And, you know, we worked on this project half a year until she said something very, very personal, very, how do you say, it hurts her a lot. And then finally we found out that it's not possible to make this film, that it was an idea, but I think you need to have this very clear, because in documentary things can happen and you have to change ways. But if you don't have this strong red line, I don't speak about the storyline, you know, I speak about what you told me, then you can repair a lot in montage, or do a lot in montage. But I think you feel, I had once a film in Argentina about the yellow press, and it was never possible. They are very good directors, a couple, they did very experienced documentary filmmakers, and they had this idea, it was a good idea, but I think for themselves it was not clear what they wanted to do, really. And they shot a lot, and they had the best editor in the world, one of the best South American editor, and then but somehow you couldn't repair what was missing in the shoot, or what, yeah, in the Haltung in the shooting, you know. So I think this is crucial. Also when you feel it in the Q&A, so it's until the end, you know.
But it needs like this little bit like this professional distance also to what you're doing. You know, I'm also a social scientist and a researcher, and when we talk about methods in social science, I know in science we try to make everything like clear for everybody else to understand it, like the same way we see it. And in movies, we don't, I mean, we stay in this moment of everybody could interpret believe something, like emotions just there. But I mean, if we, yes, now I'm losing my word now. Yeah, but, so you are somehow, yeah, forced to see your point from a distance. You're forced to ask yourself all the time, what I'm doing here. And then, I know, I get this point. No, because we have this in the field, if you're thinking of a research field, and there was one comment from a colleague, she said, when I'm in the field, I'm totally in the field, and I'm diving, and I'm taking part of it, and I feel it, and I just be part of it, I cannot be separated. But then I go out of it with my research, and this is also what happened in the editing room, no? And I go in this distant position, and I have to read it, yes.
How do as editors work when you have to organize material where you feel that is it possible? Because of course, yeah, there is a second filmmaking in the edit room, but how do you work when you have to save something? It would be interesting, yeah, because it's not.
You mean that they will take it from you? Arguments, no?
It happened?
I didn't totally understand the question. Like save, like rescue the film, or?
Ja, das manchmal, wenn so Material hat, wo man weiß, dass der Film ist eigentlich beim Dreh noch gar nicht, also irgendwas ist halt da schief gelaufen so und dann, ja, ob man dann ich habe immer das Gefühl, man kann es dann nicht mehr so, es zieht sich dann durch.
Man kann es nicht. You can. Even though I found it interesting, like in the last film, and you were saying that he was so engaging and moving the director when he was speaking. So I was wondering, like, what if the producer had said, okay, it's not working, like this film as it is not working. We cannot. It's confusing. It doesn't really have a through line. So what if we shoot you? Like we shoot you, or as a talking head, like, and really did something creative for the images, like make a completely different film. Maybe it would work if you connect it.
Maybe this leads back to Guido's film.
Yeah.
I would be interested, what was the point where he said, okay, it's not working, what can we do? Did you interfere?
No, he knew.
He knew.
Because
because at the second step then, did you get in to help him?
No, he is somebody who is very solitary. And but we felt that he's hesitating and he is not, and then one moment he said it's not working, and then now he did some editing and he asked us, of course, if how because we had the first edit where this whole way back from this one protagonist who comes back was 20 minutes of the film, the first 20 minutes of the film. And then one moment, and we were editing around this, and then one moment they just started completely different and put all this out, and then of course they ask us if it works, you know. And then we go also to the TV to tell, do you agree that the film is not called Back to Kinshasa, and you know this, and we put all this because half of the film was shot in the States with this main protagonist, and we put it completely off. Then it was, of course, another film, but this was difficult to organize, that you don't feel that it was, you know, this was not easy. And of course he shot then when he decided that the three are the main protagonists, then there are other scenes coming where they discuss together their different point of view.
Because I had the feeling that also he was a bit lost in all that, because I had the feeling, I saw the film 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, and at the end I felt just, what was that? Because he was always following, he was following the protagonist, he was following the demonstrations, and for me in the end, there was, what kind of knowledge do I gain out of this? I mean, for me, if you do a documentary, the purpose should be, okay, it's gaining knowledge, or it's gaining either for the protagonist or for the audience or for yourself. And this I find was a bit missing in the end.
I think the film is a film about frustration. You know, and this is a film, when I see it, it makes me cry, because the film is a testimony of a missed revolution or something, you know. And this I think the film, when I see it later, now years later, I think it's a film which makes me very traurig, sad, because it's the whole process of this film is more or less, and also all this discussion about violence or not violence and how you resist and so on. And I think the film is about that very strongly. And I think he achieved at least that. So, because it's, you know.
But what was his first goal? I mean, when he started to shoot the film, what was his goal? I mean, you must have had this.
The idea was this guy, he's a militant, he was researched, he went to the States, he wanted to organize a revolution with his collaborators in the States. It was all a good, nice idea, and then now he comes back, the election will take place, and they will take over. Let's make it simple as that, you know. And then the protagonist was not as strong. What happened in the States was not as they imagined. So now, and then in all this process, the director met these 2 other guys, who one came out of prison, and one of them was really a street fighter, and the third one was organized in this party of City, then which was the opposition, and where then the father died, and then the elections were repused, and everybody was waiting. The director was waiting to film, no one was waiting to come back. So but you know, I think the importance is that one moment it was not easy to when you have this other idea to find a new idea. And I think you feel it in the film. You are right. I know it, but I'm still proud of this film, because for me he has this. When I've seen it at Berlinale, knowing all this, I was completely. One moment I went out, I went to cry, and then I came back. You know, because I was really sad about these dreams, and all this continent who is dreaming about something, go to other countries, and then in other countries there was revolution, and then, you know, all this came up somehow. So the recipe is to I think when it comes to German producers or German production, also to ask this question, why and what, very early, and also to defend the choice of technicians, collaborators to defend the choice in order to the film and not only to the budget, which you have, of course, sometimes to respect, of course.
I think in documentaries the recipe is also the relationship between the filmmakers.
Of course.
And the protagonists.
Yes.
Actually, for me, this is the main recipe.
Yes, choose the right people.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, because I didn't get it, how did this protagonist of the first movie got into the film? This, what was his name? Mono? The great son of the guy who died.
This I don't know. I think the film. What? This guy, he's one of the guys coming. He comes then to Germany looking for the skull of the family, you know. And I think the director has written. She wanted to make a film about this. Maybe she did research and found this topic, and then she had the topic. She's an honest lady, you know. I don't remember how was the thing, and then one moment she did research and she prepared the film, and then they realized it's better to have a Tanzanian co-director. But I don't know. I don't think so that she met the guy and then decided to make a film. But I think she had the idea to make it and then to find somebody who is coming to Germany for the skulls and so on. I think it was this way around. And I don't know, this would have been interesting to know how, if they met different protagonists to choose this family or not, you know. Because she doesn't, or if the Tanzanian co-director found the protagonist in the moment she was involved, this is also possible. We can ask the co-producer in Tanzania.
Nice.
And I think also when you go with a German DOP, for example, do you have really to choose the right person? Because I know with this cameraman, the people in Africa told me he behaved not good. Yeah, and I think what?
What does it mean? What does it mean exactly?
Der hat sich halt den Arschloch genommen.
Ja, aber die gibt's ja immer so.
Ja, also der hat sich, he was not careful, he didn't respect the people, he didn't, you know, you have this sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
There are codes, and if sometimes I say, when I'm a production and I say, please greet the people, you know, you don't come as a, you know, and you have to be, with Pascal Capitolin, we did one time strike in Mali because the director said to the cameraman, film the children in the street. And he said, no. And we closed the door and we did not film it, you know. So, and then we said, if it goes on like that, we go home.
Yeah.
You know, this is also sometimes a work you have to add. You know, you can educate, but there are things, respect the other. And you are in another culture. It's like our chancellor saying there was no German bread in the Angolan hotel. You know, no, it's, you know, it's, and you cannot imagine how people from the left, open-minded, can behave. You know, sometimes, and it was, for example, for Mali Blues, a film we did about musicians in Mali. I struggled with the production company, Bates Brothers. At this time, it was a well-financed, long feature documentary about musicians in Mali. And I struggled they understood because the DOP said, I don't go without Bärbel, with this director. And then I was always doing the bridging, but this was nice, the production understood, they paid me. And yes, because when you have a ZDF budget, they say, we need a stringer, we cannot pay you for that. And then you go with a European team, with a stringer who is paid $50 maximum a day, who is doing the whole in-between work. It's sometimes a team who lives in a really nice hotel, and the others. This is. You have to be to. Of course, you have to take care of your guys. You cannot just put them in under a tent, but you have to deal all this the whole time. And for example, for Mali Blues, I struggled to have a production manager, and a co-producer with a contract. And then when we went, and the director made research, he went 2 times in research, and we thought everything is sorted out. We arrived and we realized that nothing was sorted out, that he understood completely wrong. So we went back every night when we were there with the director to make sure that everything for the shooting tomorrow will go well. Then we brought our director home, and with the Malian guy, I went again in the night. I went again to check if it's really clear, sometimes. So it's okay to make this job, but this job is in some films it's not there. And I think, I don't know if you remember the film Ulrich Köhler did in Africa, in Cameroon. What was the title? So, okay, it's a film, and Ulrich Köhler, his father, so Ulrich Köhler grew up as a son of missionaries or something like that. So I read the script, and his former producer, she asked me to read the script, and he was very, very good in all what is the right relationship, and also all these things, because he lived it and you felt it. It was completely okay. And when it came to the African side, it became it became wie sagt man, karikatural sometimes, and cliché. And this was a reproach he had afterwards. And then he was saying that he felt in a trap, er ist in die Falle gefallen von dem, was anklagen wollte. He felt in the trap of what he wanted to accuse. But I found this a little bit simple.
You should think about that before.
Yeah, but they did not listen. They came to Cameroon, they took it's also little things like that. They lent a car from a friend of mine. He said, don't go. It was not a 4-wheel, he said, don't go with this in the bush or whatever. They bring the car back broken. So these are little things, which means to respect. And this is neo-colonial behavior somehow. Okay, let's eat. Where is the boss?
I think he has something to do outside.
Okay.
No, thank you. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was not prepared. This was just an idea, and I wanted to make a course out of it for a moment, but with excerpts and because now I took just what I had on my computer, I don't have the. So sorry.
you see in like once.
Yeah, but I think you can be sharp in really taking and then put them together in a.
Oh, because good three examples quite different.
Yeah.
Point of view, way of filming, intention. So now it was good.
Okay, okay. Okay, good. Danke. No, because at the beginning the idea was more to edit the relationship in the production and so on, but I think it was better than as it is an editing thing to come from the.
It's important to have the material so that you can talk about it.
Yeah.
And then you can, what we had in the discussion, you can see whether it works or not and why couldn't it work or why could it be better. So that's perfect.
You know, for the empty grave, I was so upset when I've seen this film because it's a pity. You know, this old lady, she I think people, you know, you are so much afraid about talking heads that they don't trust words anymore. Sometimes, you know, trust your people and choose the right ones. You know, this is I think it's very. There is a very nice film which is called Soulèvement, and there are people speaking 10 minutes, and you are just in front, and you, boom, it moves you.
Yeah.
And I think people forget to check when they are moved. You know, also commission editors, you see a rough cut, they are writing the whole time. Feel it. This I find very, very, there are not enough people who can, in this, you know, all these people who are interfering in a film. And I think you have to defend. Once you go to see your commission editor with a rough cut, you have to know where you also you have your strategy, you know. Sometimes put things in it, in the edit that they will tell you this has to be out, so yet then you keep others which you know.
Yeah, but I was wondering, is that scene that broke your heart so much? Like I was wondering also because there were some cutaways in the beginning as well. Whether they had the footage or whether they wanted to like also compress time at one point, but then maybe they. I don't know. Perhaps maybe they didn't have the footage. Maybe the guy with the boom kept like on her, but maybe the camera.
This I don't know.
This moment was lost. It felt
as this was
like
the cameraman who behaved like not so good, maybe.
So maybe like he had her on camera for a short bit.
Yeah.
And then she kept on singing. And
maybe
he just wandered off. So I don't know whether it was available at all. Maybe that was the best version.
But then it was because the cameraman was not attentive.
Yeah. So
this is also your job, you know. It's
I don't know. It's hard to judge if you don't know the footage.
And also I found today that when you speak about editing a lot of images, but I don't know what is your feeling on that, but now we have the tendency when people make research to film all. I think in documentary it can be tödlich, you know, because you film and then in some moments you film in the research, you don't have the good sound. Image you can always prepare sound, it's more difficult. And then you come back when you really film and you don't have the same emotion in what you did. I think this is also also this thing about we need to have a trailer or something to get the money. I don't know how you feel as an editor. I think it's very difficult to do that, you know. But now in each pitching, you need some images, you need a thing, pitch trailer, and it's crucial. Sometimes I choose when I produce, I choose a short. For me, it's better to see a short film of the director than sometimes these pitches, because then I can understand, because sometimes interesting to see some images when it's about a protagonist that you see his face. And it's very difficult. So what are you doing what is your project with Africa? Or what with woanders? Was du gesagt hast? Is it a film already shot or?
No, like something has been shot and more is supposed to be shot in Tunisia and Senegal.
Okay. About what? You can tell it or not? Not really.
Let's say on the topic of migration.
Okay.
But maybe I can add like just an anecdote, I don't know if it's interesting, but like talking about images, I remember like a workshop with a really famous German cameraman, and then we were talking about like, how do you say, Atmo shots, like extra footage, like
to give atmosphere to
atmosphere footage, and then he was talking about how for the same director, like for one director, he was supposed to shoot atmosphere footage in Berlin, and it was so hard for him, and he didn't find inspiration, and then he was supposed to shoot, his next shot was in Central African Republic, and it was so easy for him. He was so inspired, and he just found images. So he was talking about that really freely, and I was like, wow, it's really like he doesn't notice what he's saying. And so I think that maybe like the idea of inspiration, like what that is, because it's like this idea that like the images are there out and we can just like grab them also. I think this term of extractivism that you also use for the invitation to this talk is really important to look at it more strictly. It was so treacherous when he said that, like, and there's no need to debate anymore what exactly we are shooting when we're shooting like in Central African Republic. Like it's unspecifically fascinating, or like, that was
exactly
how it came across. How it came across to me, and I've watched that movie also, like that, and I was like, yeah, I can see.
You know, also, you know Rem Koolhaas, this very famous artist and so on. You know, he did, or architect. He's architect, yeah. You know, he did things in Nigeria, Lagos, and so on, and fascinating by this chaos, this big city. There are a lot of people also going to Congo because, fuck you, go there. Do you want to live there? You know, it's like going on an adventure trip somewhere, and because you're bored at home, and then you know it's very tricky, these things. And then they have nice cameras, nice and then they are filming all this film about on, you know, they are filming on a Müllhalde, and then it becomes exotic and it becomes beautiful, and oh, but there are a lot of film students going to film abroad. A lot. Look at the catalog of German documentaries, how many films are shot abroad. They are not filming the immigrants in things. They are filming the immigrants coming from over the sea, and I don't know. Yes. You see this Haraga film, it's like Haraga. This was my first example. But okay. As I don't know very well the film, I want to speak about it. Today is the second part of Heilige Rima. You have seen the first yesterday?
Yes.
And?
Lots of material.
Okay.
Lots of material.
So I will only see the second 10 hours?
No, I had to leave early, I didn't see the whole thing. But, it's a huge thing of archival material. I mean, in that part, he didn't film on its own, apart from his wife, Minute, and himself, but the rest was really only material of archives. And I had a bit the impression that, of course, it's interesting, everything is interesting, but I was missing a selection somehow.
Heilige Rima is an Ethiopian filmmaker, militant. Huh? Heilige Rima, he's one of the great figures of African cinema from Ethiopia. So generation of Sembene, no, a little bit younger than Sembene, but he's teaching in Howard, and he is working since a long time of all the Italian colonial history in Ethiopia, no? It's more or less that.
The war against the Italian invasion in Ethiopia and the fight against, and also the emperorship of Haile Selassie. And I had the feeling that he found everything so interesting and so precious that he didn't want to edit anything. So put everything in. So that at some point it's a bit repetitive.
So it's how long? 2 times 4 hours or something like that?
10 hours.
Okay. So it's in the forum, and today Haile will get the Berlinale camera at 4 p.m. at Delphi.
Yes, the discussion starts at 2 actually.
Yeah, no. With who? With Charles Burnett.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting guy.
No,
the discussion might be, he's still very engaged politically.
Very engaged. Yeah.
Huh?
Very engaged. So already how he announced this film, we find it for my people.
So, danke. Next time I will make it sharper. And I think we have also to educate the German producers and the German TV, but this is difficult.
Television.
Yeah, it's important to say to several things they want to say. No, it's not possible. You pay a Gogo Mobile and you want a Mercedes. It's hard to work with them. Oh God. To be.
I think that's eher.
Also wenn jetzt ein Theaterworkshop das eine wurde nicht so ohne das andere.
Non, mais c'est pas ça. Il a acheté, donc il te demande de donner ce que tu peux donner.
Sehr liebe Herrschaft, nur als verherrlicht.
Noch schärfer als ich dachte.